Hello, Marnie and friends. This is Kathy Beatty. I am so thrilled to be part of this Mom Summit. I want to thank you for your time and for being with me, and for Marnie for giving me this opportunity. I want to jump right into some really important conversation, and that is I'm going to address the single moms among us. So I know that there are many of you out there who are a single mother. And single can mean a couple of different things. One is you are either a widow or divorced, or perhaps you are living as a single mom because you don't have a lot of support from your spouse. And this could be because you have clearly defined roles or simply just the way it all worked out in your marriage. I want to address you today because this topic and this situation is so vitally important for your health and well being that you have the support and you have the tools that you need to be a successful single mom. Again, whether that's physically, but sometimes it's emotionally too, that we I was very much alone. He was a construction worker and he was always out of the house. So, really, my children's childhood was more me and the kids doing T ball and all of the activities that there were for the children. But it created a loneliness for me that I have compassion for those really as you are a single mom, because I know what it's like and I know how lonely and abandoned and ashamed and less than that we can feel. So I want to address that a little bit. You know, it's difficult to admit that we're lonely in a Facebook world where everyone puts out these perfectly beautiful pictures of a well established, healthy, fun, having family. It's difficult for us. And yet, in all honesty, that's how many of us are experiencing motherhood. Again, I remember being lonely with my kids, and we had a lot of popsicles in the park. We didn't have a lot of money. And so I vividly remember our bike rides. I'd have one little one on the back of my bike and two other little bikes beside me. And we go down the side road and we go down this sidewalk and we would search for the willow tree that provided us our train tickets to get back out of the trail. So it was wonderful imagination that we had to have because we didn't have a lot of resources. But I still created some really wonderful memories with those kids, even though I felt I was a single mom most of the time. And then eventually, as my children were in their teens, I did go through a divorce, which created me being a true single mom physically as well. But let me tell you one thing that I did to help myself through this lonely period of time, because it is difficult. And not that we're not so grateful for the beautiful lives that we are blessed with in with our children, but also there are times in which we are really feeling lonely. So, what did I do with that that really helped my sanity and helped me survive? Number one thing that I did was I took my gifts and talents, which was writing, and I wrote children's programs for the church. So I had the challenge and the stimulation of writing and creating, which is what I love to do. And I also had something that I could include my children with. So they were in all of my programs. I wrote about 7 different musical cantatas. And please note, I don't have an education in music. I just happen to have the right people who would allow me to sing into a tape recorder and create this beautiful music to accompany it. So, see, you don't have to have all the resources, but you do have to have an imagination. So, we created all these Christmas programs and these 4th of July programs, and they were such an integral part of my children's memories. So if you find yourself lonely and focusing totally on the children and you need your own outlet, how can you combine your gifts, your talents with your children? So maybe it's a history and you love history. Well, how can you find those museums? How can you involve the children in what your passion is? If it's drawing or artistry, then how can you bring these children in and make them part of your your mission as well. And so it's really going to bless triple fold. It's going to bless and honor, if you're doing it for God, it's going to bless and honor Him. And it's going to bless you because you're using your gifts and talents. And it's going to bless your children because they are going to have part of the beautiful memories of working and doing these things with you. So we had puppets. We handmade some puppets out of styrofoam and furry material, and they worked. And we had a ball. We actually did an assembly program for the elementary school with the puppets. So there's so much to be done, and so much that we can create our own excitement as we are being a mother. So that's what I did to help myself through those lonely and, quite frankly, those times when I didn't have the resources. We needed a lot of imagination, and we made it happen. So we'll talk a little bit more on that in just a moment. But the most healthy single moms and women in general that I have come to know have been those who have built a community, a network of support. That's so incredibly important to our health. Let me share with you this quote here from the U.S. Attorney Surgeon General Vivek Murthy. And this is one that I use with my divorce support groups. That's my main ministry, is working in people going through the trauma of divorce, which also consequently has a lot of single moms that come with it. So that has kind of morphed into that ministry as well. But this quote is so important for us to understand. The most prevalent health issue in our country is not cancer or heart disease or obesity. It is isolation. I hope that makes the point of how critically important it is that we do not isolate and withdraw as we are going through these lonely times. And that's so very easy for us to do, that we can withdraw and just kind of surrender to the circumstances and all of the demands and all of the needs of our family and our children. But I want you to take note of what this is. A research stated truth is isolation is unhealthy for us, and it's worse than cancer, obesity, and heart disease. That's saying a tremendous amount. So how critically important it is that you are building a network for yourself. So I want to give you 3 points, 3 things to act upon. Number 1 is awareness. I want you to be aware of what's going on with you. I want you to be aware of your behavior. How are you reacting to this isolation or this overwhelm of being a single mom and carrying the world on your shoulders, which I know you feel like, because I felt like that and so many times. I know you're feeling like that. So what is your awareness? And that, before any change can happen, you have to have an awareness. What's your awareness? Are you disassociating? Are you withdrawing? Are you compartmentalizing fragments, parts of your brain, just to function and survive? We were never meant to just survive. We were meant to live in the richness of the life that Christ has for us. So if you are disassociating, again, these are survival coping techniques. Let's be aware of that. Let's say, hey, I am withdrawing. I am separating my brain from the activities of what's going on in my household just to survive it. And let me tell you also of something else, and that is shame. Shame is the devil's greatest tool to oppress us, to discourage us. And shame is such an important topic. You can research a lot on this because many of us have triggers of shame, which again causes us to withdraw and to isolate. Just a few tips on isolation. It's felt in our body before we realize it in our mind. It causes us to withdraw. It goes back many times to our childhood. It increases and flourishes in secrecy and isolation, which speaks to the point of how critically important it is that we have community and support. So I'm going to ask you to be curious about the awareness of how am I coping right now? What am I really feeling and experiencing in my life as a single mom? And then after being curious, I want us to be compassionate to what we're dealing with. Momming is hard. Parenting is hard. I want us to have compassion instead of beating ourselves up and demanding more out of ourselves. I want us to give ourselves a break and some compassion, because I honestly believe that Jesus does. He sees the overwhelm. He sees what you're experiencing and does not want you to go through this alone. So number one is awareness. And I'm rattling through this because time is flying. And I want to give you these rich tools to help you as you go through this journey of being a single mom. Point number two is decide what you need. Decide what you need. Now that sounds pretty easy, doesn't it? Just decide what you need. It's not always that easy for us. We have been so busy providing the needs of everyone else. We could tell you what our children need. We can tell you what our husband needs. But when it comes to us asking what do we need, sometimes we have just this blank stare on our face. I don't know what I need. And believe me, when I work with women in trauma, that's exactly what they're saying. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I need. I want you to ask what it is that you need. I love the story in Mark 10 when Jesus asked the blind man, "What do you want me to do?" And you think, well, surely Jesus, you knew. And he did. But he wanted the blind man's involvement and participation in his own healing. Think about that. Jesus wants us to be a participant in our healing. He wants us to be able to state to him, "This is what I need, Jesus. This is what I need." And therefore, the man, because of his faith, was healed. So being aware and deciding what it is that you need is critically important as you go through this getting ourselves healthy and finding out how to function best, optimal as a single mom. Do an honest discovery. What is it that I need? It's a huge question. And few of us spend time really asking ourselves that question. What is it that I need? What is it that I want? Find your healthy. What does a healthy you look like? What does a healthy you look like? Not a perfect you, because there is no such thing, but what does a healthy you look like? Balance, peace, purpose, being creative. I believe God created us to be creative. Sorry, the dog's going to bark. Of course, toward the end, he would. So number one is awareness. Number two is decide what you need. Number three, find that community. Find the community. What's stopping you? Who's stopping you? Is there someone? Are you in an abusive relationship? Therefore, you don't feel that you can reach out. Well, you can reach out to me and I can help guide you in some steps through this. I have done this for many women, and I have some specific organizations that work with and help abused women. So please find your community. You need time to be replenished. You can't give what you don't have. You need time for reflection, support, encouragement. We were never meant to do this journey alone. We never were. Who's contributing into your life? Who's contributing into your life? Are there good sources, good forces that are coming into your life? Boy, I hope so. You know, not just to receive, but also there's nourishment in serving too. And you can step out in small ways. Maybe you serve coffee at church. Maybe you join that Bible study. And and find something fun to be part of. I love the story of one woman who said, I was an introvert, and whenever I went out, I took my camera with me. And therefore, I always had that out. I could always be taking pictures, and it gave me a sense of security. So, okay, we're wrapping through the time. It's a 3-hour presentation. I'm putting it into 15 minutes. It's okay to be where you are now. I don't want you to feel that you're in an impossible place now. It's okay to be where you are now. You are where you are, and that's okay. But it is time to step forward to make a better experience, a better healthy you, a better part of a community. It's just so important. God wants you in Him to find a place of peace. God wants you in community to find a place of growth. He wants you in service with your gifts and your talents to give Him glory and for your good and contribution into the world. This is Kathy Beatty, Spirited Presentations and Divorce Support Anonymous. I hope these have helped. Reach out if I can be of help. Thank you all for listening.